Happy Valentine's Day and happy Galentine's Day to everyone. If you're watching this is probably the 15th the day after Valentine's Day. Sorry that I hadn't uploaded yesterday. I don't think people would have watched yesterday because it's Valentine's Day. And I have such a cozy video today for us where what I'll be doing is examining love in two different books. This is a part of my research process to write in a more honest way on I mean, how do I put it? The characters in the book, I want them to look like they're having an honest experience of emotions when it comes to love, both the good and the bad. What I personally struggle with is letting the characters just break and fall and letting them go through that arc of redemption or healing. I struggle to let them break and fall. So these books really help me see how we can navigate such things and what I'd feel as a reader when I read something like that. So I love these two books. Both are amazing books. One is a classic. One I believe would become a classic someday in the future. So the classic I'm talking about is Pride and Prejudice. I examined this book, and what I'm going to start with is the other book, which I finished last night, and oh my God, it made me feel so good, and I still feel really good. And I thought that's what I do right now. I take it forward in the video with all the good vibes that I'm feeling. So that book is Normal People by Sally Rooney. Amazing. It just is so amazing. Where do I even begin? So when I started reading it, I thought, oh, this is just another teen romance, YA romance novel. When I finished it, I was filled with so much warmth inside. Oh my God, it is just too good. It's beautifully written, such a feel-good book. Um, I'll read. And what was interesting here is that it was a realistic reflection of emotions that the protagonists are going through. Spoiler alert, by the way, if you haven't read the book, I'm going to give away a lot of things. So, yeah, teenagers who experience love with each other in two different times in their life. One when they're teenagers, and one when they're probably still teenagers because they're in college, and that could be 18, 19, but like late teens, let's say, and early 20s. So it's like it shows how they have gone through their arcs and transformation, how they have matured, and how that is changing the relationship dynamics. And it's just so beautiful, I'd say. Um, I'd like to read a line that I had highlighted and had ready for you guys to see. If you can see, these are the lines that I'm going to read. He had thought that being with her would make him feel less lonely, but it only gave his loneliness a new stubborn quality. Like it was planted down inside him and impossible. Oh God, my bookmark. Impossible to kill. That's beautiful. I'll tell you why I feel that it's really beautiful. Right? I'll read it once more. He had thought that being with her would make him feel less lonely, but it only gave his loneliness a new stubborn quality, like it was planted down inside him and impossible to kill. I mean, this is when, at a point of time, he's in a wrong relationship, not the right one, and he's in it for the wrong reasons. He feels lonely, though he's in a relationship. That is something that is very that's why it can happen often to people. Like you might tend to feel lonely when you're still in a relationship. And that's a you thing. You need to find ways to heal. And it's a me thing if I'm in that situation. Heal and cope with loneliness. And yes, being in a relationship is going to help that in a way. But there's still some elements of loneliness that you're going to feel. Especially for me, I felt that as an anxious attachment person. Someone cannot always fill that void. And I'm not saying there's a void in me. There could be, but I'm just saying when you're anxiously attached, you always need to feel close to your partner. And you need that. You feel better when you're closer to them. And it doesn't have to be a partner, it could even be family member, friend. You need that close, trusted companionship. And you shouldn't need something like from outside of you to feel safe, right? You need to feel safe within yourself, and you need to feel comfortable on your own. That is ideal, but you don't always fall in the ideal situation. You're not always perfect. And this is a perfect reflection of that he's feeling lonely, even if he's in a relationship. This is an underexplored area, I'd say, because usually the books we read per um, books we read portrays love in a very grand manner with larger than life expectations that it lets us have for love because of how we get lost in the stories and how it shapes us, especially when we're in an impressionable age. But I asked myself this question: if writing realistically is the right way to go, or if writing it the way it has always been written. Reason being, it's an escape. You do need something to hope for, look for, something that you can let your imagination see, in the sense, something that you can believe to be possible. But again, in that way, are we setting us up for unrealistic expectations in real relationships in life? So this is what I was wrestling with. And reading this dispelled that for me because I felt validated as a reader, reading about realistic expectations and real relationships and things that I could relate to from experience that I've been through with friends and family. And, so it was really beautiful for me to be able to feel seen and feel like validated, like I said. Uh, Another thing that I wanted to read for you is that, mm, yeah, he talks about synchronization. He talks about at times he has the sensation that he and Marianne are like figure skaters improvising the discussions so adeptly and in such perfect synchronization that it surprises them both. That shows this familiarity that comes in when you really have known someone for a long time. And unlike what most books tell you or movies tell you or people tell you, that after a period of time it gets boring, it doesn't. It gets more beautiful and more comfortable and more like home for you. That's what I've always felt. And this book made me feel so seen. And I was like, oh, I can relate to that. I mean, I'm validated by it. And then the final sentence, I've highlighted that as well for you. Oh my goodness, I loved it. But before that, there's another thing that I've highlighted. He'd be different with women, even he would be different with women, even, and his aspirations for love would be different. Profound. She's talking about how the relationship changed both of them, and it talks about how he'd look at love differently. He'd feel about love differently and women differently. And that is so true. Like it's hitting close to home for me, where I recently had an epiphany. Let me tell you about it. So this was like a Valentine's Day miracle, if you will. It's going to be a little bit in personal territory, but I remember recently that I was speaking to somebody about love and about what we thought about love. And that got me thinking about a time when I felt loved and I did love. And I was in a bad phase in life at a point of time. And the love that the person showed me towards me, that changed me in a way and changed the way I viewed love, changed the way I loved. Like it made me more gentle and because of his gentle nature. And Yeah, it changed me as a person, and not just as a person, but it changed the way I experience love, and it changed the way I express love. So I could really relate to that. That when we are in a place with a person who truly, genuinely showed love to us, and we genuinely love them, can even be a best friend, that relationship definitely changes both the people in a for good. Like it evolves you as a person if it's in a formative stage in your life, especially like in Christian spirituality, at least from what I've read in the Bible, it says he loved us first. We love because God loved us first, and I can understand that when you love someone, you model it. No, you don't model it for them. You love someone, it kind of it imparts that love onto them, I guess, and the way they love and the way they uh, feel loved changes after. I don't know how to put it in words, but this is very, very true. The way they've expressed this, and it's beautiful that they've expressed that in a fictional book with so much real emotions and truth behind it. So that was so beautiful again. And the final line said, not the final line. Okay, I'll read the final line as well for you guys. But before the final line, the last paragraph. So what they have now, they can never have back again. But for her, the pain of loneliness will be nothing more to the pain that she used to feel of being unworthy. So this will have a lot of backstory. I don't want to get into that, but realizing that the relationship will change forever. It'll never be the same when you let go and maybe become friends. That is stark. It's a stark realization. And the final line, I mean, she says for his good that he should go study. This is the big spoiler. Go and study at a different university. And then he tells her that she knows for sure that he's never going to go. He's going to stay with her. That is just so beautiful. It made me feel with so much warmth. And I love that. Okay, so that is Sally Rooney, and what I've drawn from it is the courage to let my characters fall and then redeem them and express all the true, like go deep within into what I've felt and what I've experienced in my life, because that's what's going to make the book unique. Bringing that out in the story, it's going to help many other people like me who um, have gone through similar emotions to feel seen and heard. That is something that I thus far in my writing, I think I'm 20,000 words in. Didn't do. I mean, I did do in some extent, but I forcefully fictionalized a lot of it because I was afraid to be a little honest and vulnerable in my books. So I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna edit and tinker with a little bit of what I've already written. And I'm also going to bring that out going forward in my writing, and that is a big revelation for me. So this book changed me and did a lot of magic to me as a writer. That aside, the next beautiful book is Pride and Prejudice. I mean, we all know the story. We all experience this in different experienced it as an experience the book, not what it said, at different points in life, and it's a true classic. It's beautifully written. So I'm not going to go into all these pages, but I'm going to the we're going to look at the writer's prowess and not, I mean, we're going to look at the writer's prowess and not the story, not the plot, not the character. No. So let me read the first paragraph, the hook to you. It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. However, little known the feelings or views of such or many may be on his first entering a neighborhood. This truth is so well fixed in the minds of the surrounding families that he is considered the rightful property of someone or the other of their daughters. Beautiful. It's beautiful. It's not exposition. It's a satirical commentary, social commentary, which beautifully talks about the mindset of people of the time and how what a person who's and like the person who will be introduced in the scene, the protagonist, what he'd be perceived as by society. And that is just genius. I mean, how did she know that she'll have to give context for the time period and people's mindsets? in this kind of a social commentary, so that people like us who are reading it now will have better context to it. That blows my mind. So that is one thing I'm going to draw from Pride and Prejudice: the timelessness. How do I write in a way that not just now, because there are a lot of things where I'm working on a place where I have to trust the reader to understand it, but that doesn't mean that define the reader just as people who will live in the lifetime that I live in, right? So how do I expand it to make it timeless so that if someone picks up the book after I'm long gone, they understand the time period, the temporal thing that comes in writing. That is something I need to find here. I did think about it, not in this deep sense that I'm thinking of now, but I did think about it. And I try to temporarily layer certain things so that people have context and they understand better. But now I don't want to give context in a longitudinal sense where people understand it after many years after our generation has perished, if you will. All right, so that was the episode. This episode was on love, and two gorgeous, gorgeous books, which I highly recommend that you read on love, which you can explore. And yeah, let me know your thoughts on these books if you've read them. And that's the end of the video. Just is the end of the video. Just two lovely books to reminisce. And hopefully it will influence you as a writer as well, and as a reader and as a person too. Thank you for watching, and I'll connect with you all in the next video. Don't forget to ask me about my zine on existentialism on Instagram, and I'll give it to you for free.